Welcome home to philosophy, where we wonder about everything and anything is possible. Hi, I'm Dr. Robert Corey, the Laughing Philosopher. Life is complicated, the world is complicated, and you are complicated. Figuring out how to live a happy, meaningful life, guided by wisdom and reason, is not easy. Is life a game? What is love? Should I fear death? Is this a just world? Almost from the moment of birth, you've been told how to behave, how to fit in, and how to fulfill other people's expectations. You fear that you will lack importance or cease to exist in the lives of others if you think for yourself and question the rules and roles you've been told define you. Wisdom and reason will remove this illusion so you can live authentically in the world around you, find your true purpose, and become your real self. Welcome to episode number 115. Retreat is not the answer. How do great philosophers confront a troubled world? To be honest with you, a simple comment on social media is the reason I authored this podcast episode. On Threads, someone with the handle @NorwayGirlAroundTheWorld posted the following comment. I'm walking a narrow tightrope between needing to stay informed and alert about my country's leaders and protecting myself and my health. Anyone else feeling the same way? Her post reminded me of how I ruined my family's Christmas dinner with just 4 words. I said, I really think Trump. Have you written off close friends and even family members because of this country's political divisions? So have I. And I don't feel any loss or regret over doing so, because I am totally right and they are totally wrong. Their convictions are the wrong way, and my convictions are the right way, the correct way, and the only way. Was I wrong to withdraw from incompatible relationships and abandon friends and even family to their foolish actions and misguided beliefs? Do we really need to come together and engage in mutual understanding and find common ground? I left them to go their way. Leave me to go mine. Was I wrong? Society's problems are not in our power to control or even influence. Was I wrong to retreat to the safety and privacy of solitude and indifference? Was I wrong to just accept society as it is and abandon society to its troubles? Was I wrong to let stupid people get on with it and let society go to hell without me? Was I wrong to surrender society to its downfall of conflicts and divisions? Great nations don't die from murder. They die from suicide. No matter how apocalyptic it gets, just wink, shrug your shoulders, and reply, "Oh well, pass the wine, please." Retreat or engage? Isn't it better to retreat from society's problems to a protective bubble of serenity, rather than to engage with its challenges in perpetual conflict with stupid people? Isn't it better to just drop out of society as long as its problems are not in my backyard and don't affect me personally? Engagement is no soft affair. Retreat from society seems to be a legitimate, even wise and sensible solution. Maybe retreat is the answer. Maybe not. Philosophy began with one simple question: what is everything made of? The person who asked it lived in the 6th century before the Common Era, in what is now Turkey. He is credited with launching the entire history of Western thought as we know it today. His name was Thales. Thales believed philosophy was good for something. Philosophy works best when it teaches us to navigate society's sea of troubles without drowning. Philosophy teaches us what we are, what we can be, and what we ought to be. Philosophy teaches us how to solve our individual and social problems, not by creating better technology, but by creating better people. Thales believed the role of the philosopher is to run toward the problems that the majority of people are running away from. Philosophy teaches us the truth about ourselves and our world, while the majority believe not what is true, but what they wish to be true. So what can the great philosophers teach us about retreat or engagement in a troubled world? What lessons can we learn from how the great thinkers faced up to the challenges of their world? What would history's wisest minds do? Retreat or engage? Epictetus, one of the philosophical founders of Stoicism, was born into slavery. He walked with a limp because his leg had been deliberately broken by his owner to hinder his escaping captivity. Later, after gaining his freedom, Epictetus chose not to withdraw from the challenges of Roman society. He became a teacher and mentor to young Roman elites and military leaders. One example is how Epictetus mentored Arrian, a Roman statesman and historian. Epictetus influenced Arrian to apply Stoic principles in governing and military leadership, guiding him in ethical decision-making, self-discipline, and virtue, qualities that were crucial to the success of the Roman Empire. Even after being exiled from Rome by Emperor Domitian, Epictetus still did not retreat from society. He established a school in Nicopolis where he continued to teach students from all walks of life how to live more abundantly by applying philosophy to the problems and challenges of daily life. Epictetus died in year 135 of the Common Era. He said, "What ought one to say, then, as each hardship comes? I was practicing for this. I was training for this." Bring it on. The whole point of Epictetus' philosophy of life is not to withdraw, but to engage. Philosophers love and are good at discussion and debate. Philosophers never give up on working together to figure things out and achieve agreement. Philosophers don't run away from a disagreement. Philosophers embrace it. Philosophers don't drop out. Philosophers drop in. Seneca lived from 4 BCE to 65 CE. As an advisor to Emperor Nero, Seneca navigated the treacherous political environment of Rome while advocating Stoic virtues. Despite the corruption and excesses of Nero's court, Seneca personally attempted to steer the emperor toward justice and moderation, using his influence to advocate for rational governance. When Nero wanted to execute a senator over a minor offense, Seneca used his skills as a philosopher and personally intervened to persuade the emperor to show restraint and mercy. Seneca also used his wealth to fund public projects such as aqueducts and gardens to improve the quality of life of all Roman citizens. Seneca said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." Seneca was falsely accused of taking part in a conspiracy against Nero and was ordered to commit suicide. For Seneca, retreat is not the answer. Marcus Aurelius was born in 121 and died in the year 180 of the Common Era. During the Antonine Plague, which devastated the Roman Empire, as Roman emperor, Marcus Aurelius refused to flee to safety and instead remained in Rome to oversee relief efforts. He personally ensured that resources were distributed fairly, his soldiers were cared for, and public morale remained strong. He saw it as his duty to remain among his people, offering leadership and stability during the crisis. Marcus Aurelius was the last of the rulers, later known as the 5 good emperors. He said, "Be good for something while you live, and it is in your power. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Marcus Aurelius didn't retreat. You shouldn't either. Jesus of Nazareth was born in 4 BCE and died in the year 30 of the Common Era. Jesus was actively engaged with his society, publicly advocating for the poor, the marginalized, and the oppressed. He challenged the religious and political authorities, defending outcasts and attacking the moral and social injustices of his society. He challenged rigid social hierarchies by socializing with tax collectors and prostitutes. He demonstrated his personal commitment to social inclusion by touching and healing lepers and by routinely speaking with the social outcast. He was condemned to death for being a troublemaker and a rebel. Jesus said, "Whatever you do for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you do for me." Jesus did not retreat. Why are you? Why am I? Siddhartha Gautama lived in the 4th to 5th century before the Common Era. He is the philosophical founder of Buddhism. After attaining enlightenment, Buddha could have retreated to a life of solitude and serenity. Instead, he chose to teach others the path to enlightenment. He chose a task as difficult as teaching modern algebra to a dog. He addressed human suffering and offered practical solutions to everyone seeking liberation from ignorance and suffering. He taught kings and commoners alike. He worked to dismantle the caste system by welcoming people of all backgrounds, teaching that enlightenment is available to all, not just the privileged and elite. Buddha died at the age of 80. He said, "Suffering is not holding you. You are holding suffering. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is voluntary." Siddhartha chose not to retreat. Now it's our turn. Socrates died in 399 BCE at the age of 70. Plato was one of his true friends. Everything we ought to remember about Socrates, we learn from Plato. I'm just relieved Plato was not a poet or a sculptor. Instead of dialogues, he would have left us a song or a statue. Socrates engaged with Athenian society on the streets of Athens by questioning and challenging conventional wisdom and by demanding self-examination and critical thinking. Socrates engaged with the problems of Athenian democracy by publicly questioning rich and powerful figures and by exposing their ignorance and vanity. One notable instance was his interaction with Euthyphro, a religious expert. Socrates challenged his blind adherence to religious tradition and encouraged Euthyphro to pursue deeper truths. Socrates annoyed important people by showing them how their wisdom was unwise and how their cherished beliefs were false. Socrates was pressured by friends and family to keep his opinions to himself and to think like everyone else and to conform to the majority of people. Even in the face of trial and execution, he refused. Socrates refused both to retreat from the pursuit of wisdom and truth and to retreat from society. He fearlessly accepted his death sentence rather than compromise his principles or escape. For his entire life, Socrates lived in Athens, leaving just once in order to serve as a soldier. "I am not an Athenian or a Greek," he said, "but a citizen of the world." For Socrates, retreat is unthinkable. Aristotle lived 62 years, from 384 to 322 before the Common Era. He was invited to tutor the young Alexander the Great. This gave Aristotle a direct opportunity to personally influence the future of the known world with his ideas. He personally taught Alexander how to lead with wisdom and courage, how to rule with justice and compassion, and how to govern with reason and humility, rather than mere emotion. Later, Aristotle founded the Lyceum in Athens, where he offered practical education on civic responsibility, preparing citizens to engage constructively with their society. He said, "Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all." For Aristotle, not retreat, but engagement is the answer. So what should you and I do? Instead of retreating into a bubble of people we know who think like us, the great philosophers chose to improve the world around them, actively engaging with society's problems in practical, meaningful ways. Despite the resistance of the majority, and despite the personal cost to themselves, and even life-threatening consequences. History's great thinkers remind us that we are social beings. Our biography is social. Two of us are necessary just to create a new one Isolation is contrary to our nature and our responsibility as social beings. Isolation denies our interconnectedness as individual parts of a larger whole. Withdrawal from our relationships weakens not just ourselves, but our entire society. Isolating ourselves from society's failings means neglecting our shared humanity. Great minds choose to live with purpose and courage rather than retreat in defeat and despair. Reject passivity and surrender in the face of challenges, and strive to make a difference through perseverance and action. The poem, A Psalm of Life by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, written in 1838, highlights the value of resilience, action, and engagement with society despite its troubles. Listen to the last three stanzas. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. Footprints that perhaps another, sailing over life's solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother, seeing, shall take heart again. Let us then be up and doing, with a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing. Learn to labor and to wait. I was wrong. When society looks hopeless, look up to the great philosophers. They didn't give up. They showed up. They chose to confront the problems of their world. They didn't retreat. They engaged. They took on society's problems. They took a stand. Great minds don't retreat. You shouldn't either. Change the world not by running away from it, but by running toward it and facing it. Learn from the greats. Nonconformists change the world. Conformists add nothing. Great minds don't just think, they act. They show their wisdom through action. Now it's our turn. Now it's our turn. Now it's our turn.